2 years, my boys grew up and went to the local schools, and that tree, well, is part of our history on Woodbury Down. Oh, right. Our history of Woodbury Down, and they're taking all the history and the beauty away from Woodbury Down, and I feel very strongly about this tree, and I just hope and pray that someone would listen to us. I am upset that as a resident of all those years, I was not consulted what the plans were, and I believe a lot of other people were not aware of what was going on anyway. And why should that be? We lived on the estate all these years, and not to be consulted, well, I think it was an insult.
Stay grounded.
Connect with your roots.
Turn over a new leaf.
Bend before your break.
Enjoy your unique
natural beauty.
Keep growing.
I'm very impressed with little Katie and Lucas, and I wish we could turn back the time if we had Lucas and little Katie at the Downing Street briefings. We wouldn't be in any of this mess now, because basic common sense, and children know that, and that's why they're so passionate about the tree. They could see the damage that it would do to the community. It's instinctive, they know that, and they rally around the tree. They've made beautiful pictures, they've done lovely little poetry. It's been really amazing, their imagination, but they do know the effects it will have on the community, and they're speaking out, and that's a fantastic thing to do. The tree, the Happy Man tree, is 150 years old. So, I mean, it's a treasure. It's an absolute treasure. It's beautiful, it's strong, it's healthy. And that's the tragedy of this. It's actually a healthy tree. There are alternative plans. Today I've just been speaking to, in our little community here, there's 3 architects. And they all agree there's no reason for that tree to come down. They're saying now in the planning, it's absolute paramount that they save these trees. Is this right? Is that right? So there is no excuse. Oh, sorry. Pardon me. There's no excuse for the council to allow this situation to get out of hand and allow the development to go ahead for the tree in the position that it's in now. That will, the building rather, that it's in the position that it is now, that will threaten the Happy Man tree. We're in COVID time. I guess that's what we'd say, COVID time. Everything's changed. It's a watershed period in all our lives, not just in this country, internationally. Things have changed. All our mindsets have changed. We've actually, strangely, been forced to live in the community where we actually live. And then it's made us think, well, what is in our community? Where are the parks? I don't go there. Let's go to the parks. And we've discovered our own communities, and it's been amazing. So now we also realise what's important in our communities, what makes our communities. Certain buildings are iconic, we don't want to lose them, but in previous times they have been lost because people have not realised, or realised too late, and buildings have been destroyed. Same like landscape. And interestingly enough, the reservoirs that make up the Woodbury Down estate now, the Berkeley estate, which they focus all their advertising on, and their great campaigning to actually attract people into the area, those beautiful reservoirs and the wetlands. They were all under threat in the 1980s. They would have gone. There would have been no beautiful reservoirs now. It would just be a sprawling urban estate going on and on. So they have that wonderful legacy which they can enjoy now with their children. But now we have the tree situation, and the tree is symbolic. It's not just a tree, and it's not just that tree. That tree is significant to so many important things in our lives, and it's sort of like drawing the line, saying we've had enough. We've had enough. We've had enough of this bulldozed life where people want to take over our communities without even thinking of the consequences. And the people who plan these things don't live in the areas. That's the point. So they don't realise the consequences. Save our tree! Save our tree! Thank you.
Save our tree. I've been on this estate for 65 years. It's my childhood. It's a healthy tree. This comes down and the rest come down. They didn't tell us that this was the plan, and no one thought about it 20 years ago. On behalf of a lot of Woodbury Down estate, they are very upset about the trees around here, cut down with no regard. They replaced 8 trees opposite Rowan and Hornbeam with new Carpinus betulus that lasted 3 months. There are 2 left. One will have to be taken down. So this is what they are going to do. Replace new trees like this, badly planted, not lasting, and asking residents to pay for their mistake.
Living in the state for, I remember, maybe 17 years. They told me that when you walk from the underground, Manor House underground, all the way to where the Happy Man is, all you saw were trees. Big, massive trees. You couldn't see the buildings, just trees. Where are all those trees? You cut them. You cut them. They're not there anymore. They went.
I'd like to speak in the name of the Happy Man tree. I was the Happy Man tree that was chosen 150 years ago to clear the air in the case of so much polluted air at the time. I was chosen to do this job. I've done this job faithfully for 150 years. I've made an incalculable amount of gas exchange in that amount of time. You should show me more respect for all the efforts I've put in. I've lived through wars, I've lived through bombs, I've lived through smoke, fog, and I've never done the job as well as I'm doing it today. I'm mature and I hope to do it for another 150 years minimum. Thank you.
So I wanted to tell you about trees from a Jewish perspective. I'm a Jewish person. I live on Lordship Road right near the tree, and there's lots of ideas in Judaism about trees and saving them. I wrote this article as part of my newsletter for my local synagogue. So this is called Tree Meditation. Take a deep breath. Spring trees are a welcome and reassuring antidote to our worries about pandemic disease. A cycle ride home along quiet streets, a weave of bare branches in a front garden, blossom artificially lit by sodium streetlights. There they stand, rooted in place, breathing. They are alive, guarding our atmosphere against carbon dioxide, absorbing it and pumping out oxygen. Smears of green appear across skeletal shapes, surprising us in the spring. Willows glowing with thousands of ochre buds. Shadows of trees, shapes along buildings lit up by early spring sunshine. Trees occupy a special place in Jewish thought, which closely relates to our relationship with the natural environment, our life support system. It is said that when God showed Adam all the trees in the Garden of Eden, he said, "See my works, how beautiful and praiseworthy they are. Be careful not to spoil or destroy my world, for if you do, there will be nobody after you to repair." Trees play an important educational role in many Jewish teachings. Originally they were meant to be entirely edible, with the trunk and branches tasting like fruit. But eating the whole tree would destroy it, whereas if you left the trunk intact, the tree would happily produce edible fruits every year. That's from Rashi. This teaching sends a clear message: avoid destructive exploitation of natural resources for immediate short-term gain, and preserve the productive capacity of resources for the long term. This important principle is known today as sustainability, which brings us to another essential Jewish principle. The principle of tikkun olam, which means repairing the world. In these times of climate catastrophe, trees can provide ways to capture CO2, carbon dioxide, in the atmosphere. There are many other rich concepts relating to trees in Judaism. Lo tashit, we should feel for trees as we do for humans. Ola, the prohibition of eating fruits for the first 3 years of a tree's life. Bal tashlit, prohibition against waste and needless destruction, also begins with trees. Torah teaches that we're not allowed to cut down fruit trees in wartime. Adam and Eve facing the tree of knowledge in the Garden of Eden, the first human dilemma. The tree is actually a symbol of Torah, the tree of infinite knowledge. It was so interesting to me that when I decided to write about trees, there was such a huge body of material to look at. I really enjoyed finding out more using my Jewish learning site and my own experience. I have always loved trees. Trees are exquisite, a herald of spring. Look around, the trees are breathing.